Welcome to the NCDWI Guide podcast, where defenders of the Constitution assemble to prepare for courtroom battle and firm owners gather to develop marketing strategies that will revolutionize the practice of criminal defense. Here's your host, the NCDWI guy, Jake Minnick.
Hello, fellow freedom fighters, and welcome to episode 214 of the NCDWI Guy podcast. On today's episode, we are taking a look at how to be more productive. The lie of multitasking is something that is heavy in our culture. I've done a couple of episodes about ways to be more productive in court. And today I kind of want to walk through some ideas for eliminating multitasking in your day-to-day and particularly in your business. I have been working on today the DWI update for the North Carolina Advocates for Justice Summer Convention coming up here in about a month in Wilmington, and pumped about being a part of the convention. Looking forward to seeing a lot of the people that listen to this podcast at the convention here in June. But I have been deep diving into DWI issues from the past 12 months in North Carolina. It has actually been really a blast doing the research on this and putting together the materials for the DWI update. I will be doing a future episode kind of going over some of these cases from this past year in terms of basically a podcast update. So love to see you at the convention, but also planning to share the DWI update here on the podcast. And so what I wanted to kind of walk through today was how to really, I think, be way more productive in your time spent working on big ticket projects, in time spent on preparing for court, in time in consultations, basically how to be more productive. And what I have noticed for whatever reason, it's kind of just been happenstance. The last 3 days at the office, I have basically been the only one here. We had a couple of people that were out of the office, a couple of people that were on vacation, somebody that was enjoying a birthday. And so it's been a few days here where I have been the only person at the office. And what I have noticed is that I have gotten a crap ton done here in these last few days at the office when it has been dead quiet, and been able to really focus on some big projects. And I'm not going to talk today about the importance of like kind of just being in quiet, which I think is incredibly important. That's one of the things that I have really taken away from my time running a lot for the past few years, is that there's a lot of mental freedom, mental space that I get to enjoy when I am on some of my longer runs and not listening to music or podcast or anything, just letting my mind wander. But today I really want to focus on how to eliminate distractions, because I think that whatever we are working on, big project or small, if we cannot get rid of distractions and this kind of drive to multitask, this kind of mindset of multitasking, then we are going to have a real difficult time digging our teeth into whatever thing that we are working on, big project or small, mundane, simple task. We're just going to have a difficult time if we cannot eliminate the distractions and eliminate multitasking. So what I'm going to do today is just give 10 tips on how to avoid multitasking. 10 tips on how to avoid multitasking. These are not complicated. These are not, $1 million ideas. I would say simple, but incredibly effective if you can put them into practice. So, how to avoid multitasking. Number one, turn off the notifications on your phone. This is something that I have been practicing now for probably about 8 months or so. And basically on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, basically from 8 o'clock until 11:30, I have my phone is on kind of silent mode, do not disturb mode. It's a work feature or work designation on the iPhone in terms of do not disturb. My wife is not blocked by the do not disturb feature. So she texts me or calls, that'll come through, but effectively everybody else is blocked. And so there's no notifications coming through on my phone during that time. No notifications in terms of text messages, calls, updates from any apps that I have notifications turned on. It's basically in silent mode, in airplane mode. There's nothing coming through. From 6 p.m. on until I want to say it's like maybe 7 o'clock the next morning. I can't remember exactly what time it goes back into kind of live mode. But from 6 p.m. on, I have it in sleep mode. I've kind of gotten a little bit here in the last couple of weeks actually out of the habit of leaving my phone downstairs. Our bedroom's upstairs in our house. Leaving the phone downstairs at night. I think that's a really good idea. So call to action on my end to get back in the habit of doing that, because I've not done so great in the last couple of weeks doing that. But I've gotten pretty consistent at basically leaving my phone downstairs, having it on do not disturb. So again, there's no notifications coming in. If somebody tries to call me or text me after 6 p.m., unfortunately, I'm not seeing that. Now, if I go check the phone and I see something, see a messages come in, I will be able to like see the message. But it's really important to me, I think, to have that kind of like space where it's like, this is not a needed distraction. There is not an opportunity that I am likely going to be taking on anything coming in at that time. So I think it's important to sit down and really think through, when am I okay with being communicated with? When am I okay with receiving notifications, with incoming messages? And if I'm really not interested or don't think it's good for my mental health to get these notifications before or after a certain time or during a certain period in work hours, just turn it off. It's easy to set up. It's easy to reverse if you feel like you actually do need to be able to accept notifications during that time. Even if you wanted to just do it on a routine basis and just say, hey, whenever I am in client consults, I'm turning notifications off so that all of the messages from other people on my team, potential colleagues, whatever it might be, if I need a distraction-free zone, really I'm going to tap into my phone. We are so easily distracted by the phone. It is so much a part of our identity, so much a part of who we are at this point, that there is that kind of constant need to be checking the phone, even when it's not dinging at us. But if we allow it to be constantly dinging at us, we are basically further ingraining in our brain that we have to be on call all the time. We have to be looking at every notification. So this is just simple, basic, but I'm telling you from, now about 8 months of kind of having used this feature on my phone, that the turning off notifications during certain work hours and also at night when I'm at home with my family has been huge in terms of avoiding distraction and avoiding this multitasking of kind of being half engaged with whatever I am doing because I might get interrupted at any moment by my phone. Number two, when you're on your computer, work offline. Now, there's a number of different ways that you could do this. You can minimize your email. You can actually turn off the your network connection on your Wi-Fi so that you're literally working kind of in an offline mode. You can go to, if you don't trust yourself, you can go to a location where there is no Wi-Fi or just not enter in the password. But get offline. Again, avoid the distractions. I think the phone is the number one place that we tend to get distracted at this point, but email is a close second, and other things online. If you're somebody that does a lot of news reading or scrolling on social media platforms, not being connected to the internet gives you an amazing opportunity to be able to kind of take a deep dive into some work function. Now, obviously, if you've got to access anything that you're working on from the internet, there's some ways to kind of make that work before you disable the or go into offline mode. Download whatever documents that you need, have anything pulled up that you're going to need to take a look at during that work time frame. But again, the goal is to eliminate any distractions that can come up from being online or having the opportunity to look things up on the internet, social media, news sites, whatever it might be, that becomes that black hole of time waste. So number two, work offline. Number three, and this is just physical space, work from home or at a virtual office or at your neighbor's office or at a coffee shop. Basically, get out of your office space. Now, if you're the only person in your office, then lock the door, put a sign on that says, shut down, be back tomorrow, be back in 3 hours, be back at this particular time, whatever it might be. Shut down your space and you can go into dark mode, so to speak, and be again unavailable from physical interaction. Even the mailman coming in or some a client dropping something off. Obviously, we don't want to make somebody have to drive back out to the office if they're bringing something by. So maybe you have a list of minor exceptions, but if you want to get things done, you've got to figure out ways to make yourself unavailable. Put a do not disturb sign on your, the outside of your office. Again, if you're the only person there, or, work from some other space. Work from a place that you can't be interrupted. If you go work down the street at a coffee shop, you turn your phone on silent, you're working offline, you're literally, unavailable. You're literally working in, dark mode, right? You're off the grid. That's what the goal is, to get some of these big ticket projects knocked out, is to work off the grid. So you gotta create the environment that allows you to work off the grid. So make it happen. Number four, if you are working from your office and you have other team members or clients that have access, or you're in a joint office space, put a do not disturb sign on your individual office space. It's okay to not be available all the time. There's a lot of kind of push in the corporate world for managers to have kind of an open door policy. And that's fine. It's actually good to be accessible to your team, to your clients, to anybody that might need to come in and ask you a question. help get a solution to a problem, work through some sort of urgent item. But again, if you have an open door policy all the time, then basically what you're saying is I can be distracted at any time of the day, any hour of the day, any day of the week. I'm available constantly. So how do we kind of create these things? How do we kind of find a balance between this? Well, number four, use a do not disturb sign. I'm going to kind of like now connect with number five, which is establish office hours and keep them. It's okay to have office hours where somebody can come in and talk to you about a problem going on at the office. Problem, maybe you have an open office hours for your clients, and you say, "Hey, from these on Friday afternoons from 2 to 4, you want to just come by without an appointment and talk to me? I'm here. I'm going to be available. You could do this with your team. You could do this with your clients. You could do this again if you're in a multi space kind of co-working space where there might be other businesses around and you're routinely kind of like in and out talking with other people. That's all fine. You can have open or office hours at all times of the day, but you need to get very clear about when your office hours exist. If kind of looking at these last few again, working quietly from your own office, if you're the only person there, using a do not disturb sign, establishing office hours and keeping them. One thing to do if you have like a door, a glass, a door that has like a glass window, or a large piece of glass, is you may want to put in blinds so that when you have that sign up, somebody can't just come up, knock on the door and like basically wave at you and be like, "Hey, I'm here." Obviously it gets kind of crazy if you're just, staring back at that person and like point at the sign, which you can obviously do that. But if you install blinds, and so it's basically like, look, I'm offline, not making, not having to kind of make eye contact or have people see me working from this space. The sign is on the door indicating what time my office hours are, or indicating what time I'm going to be back at the office. That is going to, again, send a very clear message that as of right now, I'm not available to have a conversation. So important to kind of set up the environment to where it is conducive to working on whatever project or phone call or virtual meeting, whatever it is that you're doing, sending the message very clearly that I cannot be distracted. I cannot be disturbed right now. Here is when I'm going to be available for kind of a conversation. Here's when I'm going to be available for to talk with you about your case, to help solve this particular problem that you're coming with, whatever it might be. So number three, work out of the office, at a coffee shop, from a virtual space, at home, whatever it might be. Number four, use a do not disturb sign. Number five, establish office hours and keep them. Those three kind of all go hand in hand. Number six, when you are on the phone, and I mean when you're on a phone call. So this could be from cell phone or it could be from a desk phone. My phone is kind of like my office phone is really basically my computer. When you're on a phone call, don't look at the computer. Now, if you're on the phone call or if you're on the phone with a client and you've got some sort of like case management software where you are like putting the information in real time, then you may need to be on the computer for that. If you're on a phone call that requires that basically you be looking at certain information, obviously you may have to have that pulled up. But if you're on the phone and you are looking at the internet, you are checking your email, you are distracted. And again, I think this is something that if we were talking to another, it's very similar to this. If you've ever talked with somebody in a conversation and they are staring down at their iPhone, they're staring down at their smartphone, and you're only getting eye contact 10% of the time, you are thinking to yourself, is this person hearing me? This is a bizarro conversation. What the heck is going on? Like, this is a real pet peeve of mine, and I think a pet peeve of a lot of people's at this point is, this distracted conversation with somebody that is clicking on their phone. But we want to fool ourselves. We want to lie to ourselves that, look, if I'm on the phone with somebody and they're not in the same room as me, they won't notice that I am staring at my phone or responding to this message or trying to put out this fire on my team chat or whatever it might be, whatever the distraction is. And it's a absolute lie. If you are on the phone with a client, if you are on the phone with somebody from your team, if you're on the phone with your family, if you're on the phone with your spouse and they're calling in and you're at work, this is real life experience now. When my wife calls me on my phone and we're having a conversation and I'm at the office, I will actually move over to the side of my office, away from my computer, sit down in a chair and have a call with her. Because otherwise the temptation to be like trying to like respond to something on email or look at what's coming up in our team chat using the Google Chat feature that our team connects through. You know, having pulled up whatever is the last thing that I was working on and looking at like a case file or, some marketing thing that I'm working on, whatever it is, I'm pulling myself. I have to literally like pull myself out of that last kind of activity and now 100% focus on the conversation at hand. So this is just like a be present mantra. If you are on the phone with somebody, do not lie to yourself and tell yourself that you can work in this, like, again, multitasking universe where I'm having a full phone call with this person and then also working on this marketing plan, preparing my defense on this case, doing legal research, responding to a client email, whatever it might be. Don't pretend to yourself that you can do both of these things at the same time. You cannot do the two things well. Be 100% focused and present with that person. And then once your phone call is ended, go back to whatever it was that you were working on before, or whatever the next project is. So number 6, when you're on a phone call, don't look at your computer. Number 7, keep a routine. This is so critical. We are what we repeatedly do. Habit Rules, James Clear's book about habits and the importance of creating routines and habits, is just, I'm referring to his Atomic Habits book, is just so powerful. It's been, the topic of so many podcasts about productivity, but the simple concept again is that if you kind of get into a routine of being distraction free and creating a distraction free environment to operate in, it's going to be much easier to stay distraction free. Whatever your setup, whatever the like physical space that you're operating in to be kind of working on one task at a time, whatever, things that you're doing to turn off notifications repeatedly, the way that you are kind of eliminating things. If you're most productive early in the morning, focusing your kind of distraction-free time during that time of day. Create routines that are conducive to focusing on a single task, to eliminating the multitasking temptation. If you can create these routines, your likelihood of being able to be driven at one item at a time is going to just really take off, because the more that you repeatedly get into these types of setups, the better off that you are going to be. Number 7. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. That was number 7. Keep a routine. Number 8, list your priorities. Again, a lot of different books on productivity talk about what are your top 3 priorities of the day, listing out your goals of the day, listing out your weekly priorities, daily priorities, monthly priorities. But priorities are humongous when it comes to being driven. Eliminate the shiny objects problem. Now, I am a person that is very distracted by glitter. I come into the office and I am easily distracted. I get an email about some new marketing feature, or hey, there's this AI a webinar that's happening today. Google has just come out with this latest version of this latest search engine. There's all kinds of things that I get easily distracted with. And so in the last few months, since about January, I switched over to a daily planner that was in paper form. I had been doing my planner online, and this daily planner, I'll grab it real quick. This daily planner has been awesome. I've used PowerPlace, the PowerPlace daily planner. It's got a monthly goal section, and then it has a weekly strategy and review section, top priorities of the week, weekly plan, things to do to make the week great. It has a daily layout that I really like, where it has goals and gratitudes, today's priorities, notes and ideas, your actual schedule, tasks, and then day review. I love the way that this thing is laid out. It really has a lot of great features to it, to me, that have been awesome to work with. And I've been using for this at this point for right at about 5 months. And one of the things that has been so kind of like frustrating, but also just amazing to kind of realize, is that when I sit down to plan out a week and what I need to be working on for the week, it typically takes me anywhere between an hour and 2 hours to really kind of in pretty fine detail figure out how I want to spend my upcoming week. So I've typically done this anywhere between Friday and Sunday of the kind of upcoming week, and really spent like an hour to 2 hours when I've done it. And I haven't done it, I've probably done it 50% of the time, where I've actually like hashed out, here's what I want to do this week, really put in the time and energy to plan in as much detail as possible what the week is going to look like. And I can tell you it's frustrating, because that's an hour or 2 of time that you're spending on the weekend when you'd otherwise rather be like enjoying, time with the family, relaxing, working on house projects, getting, work done that is from the office. But I can tell you from experience that the time that I have put into planning has absolutely allowed me to crush that upcoming week. I am way more effective, way more zeroed in when I really put in that kind of pre-planning time. And one of the things that I have really noticed about this planning, especially when I focus in on the weekly plan and then have like a very detailed daily plan of action for each day of the week, is that the shiny object syndrome that I suffer from really tends to go away, because there is just not the real opportunity to get distracted. I think one of the things that used to happen was is I would basically say, okay, I come into the office. I know that I've got these 3 clients that I've got to handle their cases. I've got a few people that I've got to call back. I kind of like to look at this new kind of marketing software. I have a meeting with my team on this particular day. I need to respond to this issue that one of our employees brought up, whatever it might be. There's this kind of like mishmash of things that have to get done, but there wasn't really kind of time very specifically allotted for addressing those things. And so it's kind of like, well, they can happen whenever. They can happen, and so if I walk into the office and there's a fire to put out, okay, now that's my priority. If I walk into the office and there's this email with this new interesting technology or software or webinar, oh, maybe I'm going to go spend my time here. By having the week fully planned out, or planned out as much as possible, all of those shiny objects have to get put onto the back burner. And I do have time like planned in to my day to be checking the email a couple of times a day. I have time that I've listed on my planner that is called FD for fire department. So I have like time actually planned every single day for random phone calls. I have time every single day planned for, this fire that is like an imminent thing that needs to get put out, scheduled in the day. If there is no fire that day, then that means I've got some free time that I can kind of put towards whatever, project that I'd like to work on next, or additional time to spend on a project that I've already got scheduled. But I plan into the day time for distraction. But I can tell you that the shiny object syndrome, and again, I would say I really suffer from this. This is like a major issue. I see. I think one of the problems with being like optimistic in the entrepreneurial space is that everything that comes across the table looks like an opportunity, but you have to remember that every opportunity that is coming in the door is a demand on your time. And I have a difficult time deciphering this. I have a difficult time saying this is something that I really should be spending my time on versus this is going to be a waste of time. So by having your priorities listed out, your weekly priorities, your daily schedule listed out, your daily priorities listed out, you can eliminate that shiny object distraction issue, and again, minimize the multitasking problem. Number 9, plan the week. Again, this is something, I already talked about this a little bit as I was going through number 8 and listing your daily priorities. But so I'm not going to spend much more time on it here, but really plan out your week. The thing that I love about this Power Place planner is it looks at in terms of its weekly layout. There's a section called Last Week Review. Very helpful thinking through what went well and poorly last week. What things did I miss? What things did I not get to? Where did I kind of keep my internal or, kind of personal commitments that I had made? Where did I fall short? I love this like review section of how did last week go as you're kind of going into planning for this upcoming week. And then it has a section for notes and ideas. I a lot of time do have little things that I write down. I write down some takeaways from big ticket items that are coming up for the week. Has a section called Top Priority for the week, which I love because it's just one. The daily schedule says, today's top priorities, but in the weekly it says top priority for the week. What is the one thing that needs to happen or go well or habit to be working on? What is the top priority of the week? section for weekly plan. So it's kind of like a almost note section of like kind of what is the big picture of the week. And then it has a final section, things to do to make this week great. And it has that subdivided into 4 sections: personal slash physical, family, work, and social. Personal, physical, family, work, and social. So things to do in each of those 4 areas of life to make this week great. And again, when I sit down and really plan out how do I want to kind of achieve these big kind of ticket items and kind of know what I want the week to look like, as I then go in and plan out very specifically what the day is going to look like, it's just amazing how much more you can get accomplished, how much kind of further you can kind of push yourself when you really get into the details of this. So if you don't have like a very specific daily planner, to me, this is one of the easiest ways to avoid shiny object syndrome, to avoid distraction, to avoid the glimmer that is multitasking. Get rid of it by having a very detailed and specific weekly plan. Number 10, and finally, delegate and elevate. If you want to avoid multitasking, constantly be looking at tasks that you can offload. And this isn't to just say constantly just be throwing shit at other people, constantly be throwing work at other people. But if there are things that either kind of don't bring you joy or that can be better handled by somebody else, offload those tasks. One reason why so many people feel the need to multitask is because they just are overloaded with tasks. They have too many tasks on their brain. There's too many things to be working on. You got to offload tasks. So if you want to avoid multitasking, then probably one of the things to do is to kind of reduce the amount of tasks that are on your list to perform. Delegate. Can somebody else do this better? Is there a software, an AI agent, an AI software that I can use to help take care of this task? How can I work more efficiently? How can I work more leanly? How can I put this onto somebody else's list? Maybe it's just a matter, and this is not really like the exact same thing as delegating, but maybe it's just a matter of saying this task is not something that is going to bring value, and I just need to say no to it. I just need to eliminate it from the list. One way that I have found that this is, in terms of this last idea of just eliminating certain tasks from your day to day, one of the things that I have found is that I will kind of like look at, again, I'm very particularly planning out my daily schedule, very particularly planning like my to-do list on the day. And if one item stays on that to-do list for too many days or is on there for too many weeks in a row, that signals to me this thing is not a priority. It's not getting done. It's not mattering that it's not getting done. And, either put it onto somebody else's plate, get it done, or decide that it's never going to get done and don't put it back on the to-do list. So delegation or elimination of certain tasks is key to avoiding the suck of the multitasking complex. Again, been a real joy on my end these past few days, getting a lot done at the office. It always feels good to be productive, and part of what I have been, part of the reason that I've been able to be so productive is because I have not been multitasking. And I just wanted to share with you some tips for avoiding the lie that we can multitask and get into this mindset of getting shit done. How do you get the big ticket items knocked out? How do you punch in the face those projects that really do bring a lot of bang for your buck. So eliminate multitasking. Hope this conversation has been helpful, and I look forward to speaking with you again next time.